Hi everyone, Anzel here from the Purple Giraffes, and today we're going to speak about the latest trends for 2025. And I'm very honored to have the one and only Lynnaire Johnston, Kevin D. Turner, and Americo Costa with me, where we were speaking about what's happening and what has been happening the past year and going forward. I would just like to say to everyone, Happy New Year, and I hope this is really the best year yet, and only good things will happen. So first, I don't know if everybody knows each other, so let's just do a short introduction. Lynnaire, if you can just tell me, who you are, who you help, and where you're from.
Sure. Well, I'm a New Zealand-based LinkedIn trainer, and I'm a strategist and content creator. I've co-written a book about LinkedIn, written one of my own, and I have a private members community at LinkAbility.biz where people can learn more about LinkedIn. So I'm obsessed with new features and changes to LinkedIn, just like Kevin is, and I regularly host events and lives on LinkedIn, and I have a YouTube channel at LinkAbility NZ. And thanks for having me today, Anzel. It's a pleasure to be here in such illustrious company.
Americo?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. I was sharing before we went live how humbled I am to be among such great LinkedIn personalities. My name's Americo Costa. I am a customer experience leader and coach, and my passion is to help service-based businesses and professionals boost their brand awareness and boost their customer advocacy. And, I found my calling last year by leveraging LinkedIn and helping the people that I support and my ideal customers improve the experience that they deliver to their communities through process improvement as well as culture changing. It is great to be here. I am looking forward to a great conversation, and over to you.
Cool. Kevin? We're leaving the eldest for last.
My name is Kevin D. Turner. I'm with TNT Brand Strategist. I am a LinkedIn enthusiast. I've been, optimizing profiles since 2005, somewhere around a little over 5,000 at this point. And I get excited about LinkedIn and what it can do to help build brands. And today, I'm still, as we're talking, I'm trying to multitask and actually load a new avatar because Restream had me locked out of my normal account. So if I can, hopefully I can apply that real quick and be done. And then I'm not just a little block. So that's me. Good to be here. And as Mario said, incredible people to be with.
Thanks, Kevin. So I would like to talk about this. Kevin, I always read all your newsletters of all the new updates, and thank you so much for that. So I saw there's about 250 new updates that was done last year. Which ones did you think is the ones that stood out for you most and will most probably go on for this year as well?
I've been having fun with clients, helping them get into the immersive video feed. And there is a site that LinkedIn built. It's called Build Your Voice. And it's pretty easy to find, actually, if you type in buildyourvoice.linkedin.com. You'll actually find the site. Normally, LinkedIn invites you or somebody tells you about it. If you go in there, it's going to give you all the stuff that they used to give to creators in the Creator Mode program. And it's got some big tips. One of those tips is if you follow the news group, right, and there's trending news going on, and you make a video around that news theme, they have a form that you can actually fill out, send in, and they'll pick it up normally for the actual, editor will put it onto that news article. I've been helping clients get 12 million views on their videos right out the chute. So it's exciting, and
Oh,
it's just knowing that it's there, right? And once you know it's there and you can start using it, and it's actually put several of my clients in line for blue badges because the editors didn't know about them before. They love their videos, and they're going, well, we're putting on the list to get the next blue badge. So neat things can happen, and that is one of my favorite things. It's build your voice, and it is a separate platform from LinkedIn, but it's run by LinkedIn.
oh, that sounds awesome. Lynnaire, is there something that you would say that you are excited about that happened last year?
Well, I'm a great fan of Kevin's lists of the new features, as you know, and I went through it all just before we came onto the show this afternoon, or this afternoon for me, and I found quite a number that I really thought were quite big game changers for the year. I certainly agree with Kevin that the standalone or immersive video is one of those major things that we've seen this year, but I think we've also seen a lot of change at what I would describe as a macro level. So we have seen reduction in organic reach, for example. We've seen changes to what's in our feeds. We've seen a lot more AI on the platform, and I think it's fair to say we've seen a widening gap between free and paid accounts on LinkedIn. And of course, with the arrival of premium for company pages, that's moved the kind of features that we see on as premium features across to company pages as well. So I think all of that has had a major impact on what's going on LinkedIn and will inform what happens on the platform this coming year. But I will just say that I think there's going to be a lot more interest in events now that this change to audio has been made, and I just think that it's going to be fabulous. Kevin was on my last LinkedIn audio event just before Christmas, and he gave me a whole bunch of ideas of ways that we can use this new audio platform better, and I can't tell you how excited I am about all of that for 2025.
Yeah, people were very, upset when audio rooms or audio events left us. So it seems as if with Restream and, what's the other one you're using again, Lynnaire? You use
StreamYard.
StreamYard.
You know what is interesting though? The audio events, actually, the group that was producing the product group, it was disbanded in August of 2022.
Oh.
And nobody was fixing anything. Nobody was making anything any better. And we were all complaining. And one of the biggest complaints was, you can't record it, right? You can't have it for playback. And it was never designed to be that way. It was supposed to be these ephemeral kind of conversations. And some conversations aren't good if you record them, especially things around like job seeking and stuff like that, or mental health. Nobody wants that recorded for anybody else to hear, right? And that design, what I found fascinating is, it has been out of place, and LinkedIn looked at it and said, the code is kind of eroding. Everybody's complaining that it doesn't do what they want it to do. So we're going to go to these third parties and have them come up with a solution. So instead of what everybody says, LinkedIn got rid of audio events, what LinkedIn actually did was save them because they were dying in their format, and they weren't going to put any more money in it because it wasn't a big success for LinkedIn. LinkedIn thought it would be like Clubhouse, and it wasn't. And then Clubhouse wasn't Clubhouse, right? It kind of fell apart. So, when we say, they killed audio events, they actually saved it by giving us an option. And it's an option that I think is incredible because it gives us so much more that we can do with it. So, before everything was labeled, pretty much LinkedIn label now, you get creative. You can put your backgrounds in there. You can put, I could share my screen to show you something. You could pull up a PowerPoint. You couldn't do those kind of things before in audio events. So I think the opportunity is big. And I think they did the right thing because they weren't going to spend the money to fix it. And usually what LinkedIn does is it just disappears, right? And it just goes away, and they don't find anything else to replace it. So I think they did a good job on this one.
Yeah,
I
I'm
totally agree.
very, yeah, I'm very excited. Me and America has been having some one-on-one calls just talking about this. So America, I would love to know more from your side. What do you think?
Hey, I got to tell you, the last year, I categorize myself as having to be baptized. It was baptism by fire for me. LinkedIn has always been traditionally that job seekers platform for as long as I held a corporate position. And then, given the vulnerability of the ecosystem that we found ourselves in the last 5 years, I've I lost my job 3 different times in the last 5 years. So yeah, I really took an appreciation and an admiration for LinkedIn and what it offers. And, all of a sudden I find myself, you know, connecting with people, wanting to learn more and understanding where I am in my journey. There are people that I look up to, like both of you here on this panel, but there are now people who are behind me in their different stage of their journey who look up to me, and I'm able to help. And yes, a lot of change has happened, and there's a lot of arguments that can be argued both way as to what was better versus what we have. And I totally agree that what we have today with the options are is going to put us all in a better position. And I've kind of built my goals for 2025 around that. And I know we'll talk about it a little more um, in the show. But hey, I'm having fun. I want to be an early adopter and an adapter so that I can not only help myself, but help my community and nurture my community and help people who are struggling to have a voice and articulate their message and just get away from all this artificial intelligence and just bring back the art of the conversation like we're doing right here.
Yeah. And then I also, Lynnaire, you also spoke about, the costing of premium going to from free to premium or stuff like that. So what I've read, Kevin, in one of your newsletters was about the boosting of personal posts that's coming through, which was very interesting and shocking for me because LinkedIn is going to make some money from us. I would like to know, do you think that LinkedIn ads will start playing a role as well? And yeah, what just in general, what do you think about the boosting of posts?
And it is an ad product, so it is part of their marketing offering. So when you do it, you actually go through Campaign Manager. So your post has to go through that kind of review and process. I have not tried it directly as an individual, but I have tried it on a couple posts as a page admin. And absolutely, it worked. I probably took a post. It was about a video event, a live event that was actually on YouTube. And I took that. It had originally probably about 3,000 impressions. And for about $60, I got it up to 80,000 impressions. Not a big change in engagement, interesting enough, because I think sometimes when you buy reach, right, it doesn't mean people are going to engage on it on the other end. Your normal group always engages more than anybody else when they first see it for new. But it does work. I don't really like it in one sense, but then I like it in others. So, ultimately I might use it a couple times a year, but I'm not going to use it every day. I'm not going to use it every week. I'd go broke probably doing that. But there's probably always one or two things a year that you could think, well, I could spend $60 on that, get a little more reach, maybe build a little more network, maybe help more people with the particular information that's on there. So I think it has a value.
And Lynnaire, what do you think?
I think that if it takes off, it will affect what we see in our feeds. I already don't see nearly as many posts in my feed from the people I really want to see, and I have to go looking for them. I really switched my viewing from posts to, well, in the feed to notifications so that I can find the content I want to look at. And I think that boosting of individual posts like this will just make that, or just exacerbate it, really. And I think that already, when I read last year somewhere that the number, or the percentage of organic posts from people like us is down to under 30% of what's in the feed. And I think that is going to have a follow-on effect that people will get frustrated with the feed. They'll decide to abandon LinkedIn if they don't realize they might be better off looking at posts via their notifications. And so I do think that there could be some downsides to that. I understand that advertising on LinkedIn is quite expensive. It's not something I've done myself, although I will experiment with it when I do get the opportunity to. But I have not heard lots of people, or many people, if anybody, raving about how effective LinkedIn advertising is. So for me, the jury is going to be out until we see some real results on it.
I'll tell you one thing, though, I'm excited about. And if you think about if individual members start using this service, right? LinkedIn recognizes revenue stream. LinkedIn protects its revenue stream. And what is direct competition for sponsored posts is pods, right? Mm-hmm. Pods, you join a pod, you pay them money to basically increase your reach through fake engagement and hope the real people don't notice, right? But you're basically buying reach. Now that LinkedIn is in the individual reach business, LinkedIn's going to go after pods like you cannot believe because they're impacting their revenue now. Before they didn't impact LinkedIn's revenue. Now they do. So I think one of the great benefits of this, if it does take off to a degree, is LinkedIn's going to be much more serious about closing out pods. And they know how to identify them. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, yes, please, LinkedIn, please do that. I think we're all annoyed with that.
Here.
Yeah.
You're here as in you're a cheerleader?
I'm a cheerleader for LinkedIn going after pods.
Yeah. Deep pod the place.
No, back to the personal boosts. In my opinion, they have a purpose and a place, and I would agree. Maybe once, twice a year, just to give that burst of reach. But I've tried that on the Meta platform, and it doesn't get me anything more than reach. The engagement stays relatively flat. In terms of prospects, relatively flat. So it's just more of, if you want to boost your vanity, great, throw money at it. And when I look at and compare, the price point, I'll probably throw my dollars at Meta to drive traffic to my website than spending perhaps twice as much in a small burst going through LinkedIn to get that same traffic going to my website.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite interesting. I never thought of that using Meta. So I've got a lot of new clients, and they always have these specific questions they ask me, and I was thinking that it would be best to ask you guys what the answer is. So they're very new LinkedIn users, and they need to build relationships, but they don't know how to attract the right people, or how to start a conversation, or just how to build that relationship that is not AI but authentic. Do you guys have any tips on that? So it's also relationship building and maybe in a way content creation as well.
I would say relationship building, whether it's in the real world or it's on LinkedIn, it works the same way. You don't go to a networking meeting and try to pitch somebody, right? You don't go and say, let's connect. Well, I don't know who you are yet. So if you want to build a network that's actually a functional network, right, where it values you and you value it, you have to begin that process in the sense of how you would begin networking in real life. So it is, maybe target the people you want to talk to, right? Follow them, engage in their content. I always look for at least 7 positive engagements. That means I commented and they commented back. That's 2 engagements. They commented on my post. It's another engagement, right? So I try to get to 7 engagements, and then I will send a personalized request. Now, knowing that some of the free they've taken away that personalized request ability, right, for the most part. But if you've had 7 kind of these connective events already, you can then send a blank invite and people go, I know exactly who Anzel is. I'm going to accept that invite. That's the way to build a network. And networks, like Socrates said, they've got to be the mutual benefit of each other, right? And if they're not, they don't work. But think about it. If it works in the real world, it'll work within in. And that's how I always look at that.
Can I just add to that what Kevin's saying, because he's absolutely right in my view. And once you've got a connection, I think there's an important aspect of building the relationship with that person that you've gone to such lengths to be able to connect to. And so that's where direct messaging comes in. And now that we can send direct messages by text, by voice note, and by video, there are lots of options for being able to build that relationship and build our credibility with the person and develop a whole relationship that's based around trust and sharing of useful information. So in my case, if somebody reaches out to connect to me, I assume, rightly or wrongly, that they are interested in learning more about LinkedIn, and so I will then work to invite them to my events. I might send them a short video from my YouTube channel, but I will also make sure that they have a little bit of information about the free resources that I offer so that they know that I am someone who does share information. And I know that someone who's in the audience today, Roy Kowalski, who always says this, if you want to build a relationship with somebody, you have to ask them questions and show that you are interested in them. It's not all about you. It is about the person that you've connected with. And if you are always only talking about yourself, then you're not going to build a relationship with them. You really do need to make yourself be interested in who they are and what they do. So I think building the relationship on the back of the connection that Kevin mentioned works really, really well.
Absolutely agree.
I totally agree. I'll add, it's like put yourself in person and you meet someone and you introduce yourself, and after a salutation, hi, great to meet you, and you just walk away. Mm-hmm. It makes you feel somewhat awkward. It's like, okay, what just happened? Is that person coming back? Are they not coming back? And I see that all the time on LinkedIn. People, they set their benchmark, some after 4 or 5. I like 7. I think I might shift to 7, Kevin. That is a decent amount of engagement to recognize, all right, this person has there's alignment with who we are and what we believe in. But to just click accept and do nothing with it, to Lynnaire's point, you're squandering that opportunity. This is, we're not just throwing spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks. I feel compelled, and I've gotten better and better at it, reaching out. And you know what? To this day, I still feel obligated to say, hey, can we have I have to say pitch-free conversation. I'd love to learn more about your business, your profession, but I'd like for us to get to a point where we're comfortable and just say, can we just have a conversation? But we still have our guards up because we've been pitch slapped so many times that you got to preface it with, hey, how about a pitch-free conversation? Would you like that?
I absolutely agree with that. I think it's also really important to move these relationships out of the digital, right? Bring them into real life anytime you can, right? If you're traveling, let them know, hey, I'm going to be in New York. I did this just a couple of weeks ago in New York City, and I met with people that I've known for 10 years on LinkedIn, and we've never gave a hug or shook hands or anything, and we connected, and immediately what was beautiful about it is everybody was exactly the way I thought they were, and they said the same thing about me, and so that means these are good people, right? But bring it into that real world situation. Don't always leave it digital. If they're local, that's easy, right? Get a meetup. Hey, let's all go for coffee and donuts, whatever it is. Get it going. And, if it's when you're traveling, if you throw out there to your network that, hey, I'm going to be in town around this time, you could do it publicly. If you want to be a little more secure, you could just contact your people that in the network you'd like to meet with, and just say, hey, do you have a few minutes? Can you do a coffee in the morning or maybe a drink in the afternoon? I think it's a great thing to do, and it changes the relationship dramatically.
Yeah, no, I agree. I traveled to the UK and I met up with a few clients, and the energy is just so much different now afterwards, once we've met, that it's now like you're a client, but we're also friends. And it's a really nice experience to have.
And people remember friends better and longer, don't they? When they're thinking of something, I'm going to do this.
And you actually like them.
Yeah.
Until they're ready to borrow money from you.
That's not a friend.
Well, very funny.
So Jason Lynch has a question, and he's asking us, why aren't we showing video? So
I don't.
First of all, Jason, I like this format personally because first of all, it's 3 a.m. in the morning by me, so I'm not looking at my best, and I'm a bit camera shy, so I feel much more comfortable without video. And the reason also for this episode and the other series that I do have is that it's focusing on audio more than on video itself. So I don't know, Americo, you're the one with all the experience. What did you say would be the pros and cons for what we're doing exactly right now?
Well, the versatility, I would say, is the pro.
Let's give it.
The fact that there's so much versatility, and to your point, it's 3 a.m. You're not looking your best. You're your own judge. You're making that judgment. That's great. You've set the agenda right from the get-go. Hey, this is going to be exclusively an audio event. Now, Restream has made some recent updates where you can change the avatar design so it doesn't look like it's a screen full of black with your picture in the middle. And we can have this conversation offline. I've offered to run another Restream 101 for those who are thinking or struggling with Restream. I'm having a blast with it. I'm creating videos and backdrops and adding music and trying to make it as interactive as possible. And I'll be hosting a few shows next week, and I'm going to try. Every show has had a different flair. Because I'm just testing all the capabilities so that when the questions come, hey, can you help me figure this out? I'm more than happy to roll up my sleeves and help someone get their studio to the way they like it.
Cool, thanks. I don't know with StreamYard, Lynnaire, how does it work for you? Do you do video only or do you do audio as well?
We've only done audio so far, but just as you saw with Kevin turning on his camera, we have had a few people who have inadvertently, hey Kevin, inadvertently come on the screen with their cameras on, or they decided
with one of us doing it.
Well, don't forget, I'm on holiday, and so I'm a bit like Anzel. I'm not looking my best today, but you've
I
shown
am
up with
too.
your
This is how I relax.
Oh, yeah, you relax with a jacket. Good for you.
This is my relaxing jacket.
So yes, we are going to be experimenting with offering the opportunity for our audio guests to have their cameras on if they choose to. You know, some people like to, a bit like you, Anzel, camera shy. They don't like to be on the stage visually, and so we need to respect that. We're running audio events, and I think that there is an opportunity to be able to allow people to come up from the audience, have their cameras on if they want to, or not, as they choose. But I'm looking forward to being able to use the presentation side of it, as already been discussed a bit earlier, and being able to share videos and have maybe slides or images from both the host, and on my events that's me, and on events like this where I'm a guest, it'd be great to be able to say I've got something I want to show you, and so then members of the audience can see it if they wish to, or not if they don't. So this leads me to a question for Americo. When somebody is looking at, I know that I'm supposed to have all the answers, but today I'm going to ask at least this question. Americo, when people are sharing a presentation or a visual of some kind on an audio event, and people are watching it on the app, on a mobile, how easily visible is it? I mean, can people see what's actually written there easily or not?
I can tell you honestly, if you're listening on a mobile, it's audio. But when it comes to the whole visual, the visual aspect, you're not going to see the presentation as well as you would like your audience to, especially if the host is not using the right scene, so that if the screen you're sharing is in one of the smaller windows, then it's, shows over, no one's seeing anything. So it's important that the host align with the presenter to make sure that they optimize the screen so that everyone can see the presentation alone.
I pulled up my desktop so you can see my profile. So if you wanted to show that, it would be up to Anzel to say, yeah, show that. So I put it up there. If you wanted to show it, you can kind of see how it would come in. I think it's incredible. And you do have to know that people do use desktop. They do use mobile. Mobile's always going to be a little more difficult if you're sharing desktop, but you can share this from mobile, which I think is neat.
Yeah, so while we're talking about live streaming and AI also coming in, what is your take? So obviously we get a lot of AI comments these days, and it's, when you see, I remember, or you remind me of, then you already know that that's a ChatGPT thing. So how can we remove that? Obviously, LinkedIn can't remove all the comments, if only, but to still get that authenticity, if people do really need to use AI for that. So what did you recommend? Because it's almost like people don't know what to comment on, and then they just go to ChatGPT and be like, okay, comment something for me. How can we play a role in that to be able to, for the AI not to come forward as much as it is at the moment?
I've got an answer to that, if that would be okay. I take a very hard line on it. If somebody is using AI to comment on my posts, and I can tell, you can always tell, I DM them and ask them to stop. And if they don't, I just remove the comments. I remove the comments anyway, but I always ask them to stop. First of all, I'm at least polite enough to do that, but I take a hard line on that because I don't think there's a role for AI to play when it comes to comments that are not from the person's own experience or their own opinion. And I'm very happy for others to disagree with me on this one. But from my perspective, I like things to be authentic. That's how I like to come across. That's how I believe who I am. And consequently, there isn't a place for AI generated comments on my posts. But I'm open to being disagreed with.
No, I think you're right on, Lynnaire. We have a responsibility to kind of cultivate those comments, right? Because there are other comments where people are flaming people, right? They're saying stuff, or they're just missed the boat altogether, or they're doing their own promotional stuff, right? Go to my YouTube channel and here's the link. It's up to us as the author of that post or event to decide, does that exist? Should it be here? Is it good for my audience? Or should it just go away? And AI comments, a lot of those, just get rid of them. We don't need that extra little bit of boost because it's not going to go anywhere. But I always look at that. You always take care of your network, your audience to that post. And, I'm not always as kind as you are. I don't normally send them a message. I just delete. Sometimes it's even a report if they do it and they do it in the wrong way.
Hey, it does make a lot of us cringe, and it sounds like the sentiment is unanimous here on stage. You're absolutely correct, Kevin. We are the masters of our own domain, and if we feel that something doesn't align, there's nothing stopping us from just deleting it, because it doesn't define who we are, and it doesn't send the message that we condone this. I know it's a necessary evil, and it's not going away, but we can control what's within our control, and in many cases, it's a delete. Yeah.
And what about the imaging? always see some people, you can see when it's generated with AI. And especially with LinkedIn, we want to show our face, or we want to, show that authenticity of ourselves. Do you think using AI, because you can also now do those clones of your voice and your video, and you can actually make a video having you speak, but it's actually not you, it's AI. How do you guys feel about that kind of software coming through now?
Well, one of the things that LinkedIn says, if you use AI in the creation of your content, LinkedIn is asking you as best practice to notify the audience, to let them know you used AI to create this. So if it's an AI generated image, you're supposed to tell them. If the content was created mostly by AI, you're supposed to be telling them. And at some point, LinkedIn is going to get to a point where they're going to tell on you if you're not forward enough to tell them. So they do that self-regulation at the beginning, and when enough people complain about it, they're going to go into full regulation. And LinkedIn will start identifying AI content and kind of noting it, just like you have sponsored content, right? Promotional content. They're going to put AI generated content notes on stuff. They've started with images already that are created through AI. If you use the original image file, it'll have a CR credit on there that'll tell you how it was built. Most people have already figured out how to get around that, and that's just take a second screenshot of the image, and then there's no CR tag to it. But they're getting better, and I think that it's going to get to a point, if we don't start doing it, and the few times I've used AI in any production, I've mentioned it, because I don't use it very often, but I've been a beta tester for OpenAI since 2022. Love some things about it, hate some things about it. So, to me, it's important that people start being a little more upfront. I think a lot of people are damaging their brand because they are now proliferating with posts a day, 2 posts a day, 3 posts a day. And immediately you can tell by the way it's written that it is AI. AI does some funny things, like on bullet points, it always puts a period at the end of a bullet point. Well, a bullet point isn't a sentence, it doesn't need a period. AI thinks it does, so it always does. M dashes, large M dashes, the language of ChatGPT. It's going to put M dashes in there for emphasis. majority of the people on LinkedIn never knew what an M- was until last year. So really easy to identify content just by the way it's written. And I think people are losing a lot of their own brand because people know, well, you didn't really come up with that. And that's sad because it's damaging.
I agree with Kevin, but here's my take on it. I think that's great for those of us who want to do LinkedIn well and really we respect our audience and we want to build our brands and our visibility and credibility on LinkedIn, because there is going to be a lot more AI showing up, I think, via features dropped by LinkedIn, and also a lot more people using AI off the platform and then importing it, like Kevin's talking about, then I think that we're going to see a divergence of content and of messaging and other things too, whereby we'll be able to see and tell who's using AI and who is legitimately, honestly and authentically on LinkedIn as themselves, with their own content, their own opinions and their own ideas, and in their own voice. Now, I'm a professional writer, have been all my life, but I am really moving towards things like video, which I am not nearly as good at, simply because I can show up as myself. And I think that's what AI will do, is rob LinkedIn of authenticity if we don't call it out. Make sure that we are leading the way in how to do things in a way that is authentic and that does resonate with our audience. Look, AI is here to stay, and it's how we use it, I think, that's going to be important. And the way that it's being used today, not a fan at all.
Well, I'll tell you, AI right now, video is kind of the anti-AI in a way, but it's all coming. I mean, I did a video a year ago, put it on YouTube over a year ago, that has me speaking French. Not only is it French and it's proper, and people who speak French told me they thought it was me speaking, it's in my tone. It even has my own little kind of twang to the French. And it's actually amazing. But I noted on there that this was all from HeyGen AI conversion. This stuff's coming. And the same thing with the likeness. We can load videos of ourselves and it can create videos. Just like it can create a picture, it can create a full-length video of you. So you could just plug and say, I need these 10 topics that you already suggested to me, create videos based off my content and make it look like me. And it's coming. So I think video is a bonus right now, but fairly soon there's going to be so many AI solutions to it, we're going to be in the same boat again. So I think for a moment it's got an opportunity, because nobody knows how to use half these tools and they're not all out there, but they're coming.
I'd like to say that, video is going to be the differentiator for those who will embrace AI to the point where you can't tell what's real and what's not. When you're live, nothing's scripted. If we fumble on our words, we know that person is showing up as their authentic selves. And
of course, I'm doing everything through Perplexity right now to get all my answers. That's why I think this format is going to go more to video and less to still shots. Because I could be right here, right now, typing into Perplexity. Well, how do I answer? How do I Americo and Lynnaire, how do I get a better answer? I could be doing that right now, but if I was on video, you'd know it. So I think video is going to take on this kind of the audio events going to become the video events. And I think that's going to be a pretty standard. And I don't like the look when we mix it. When somebody's on video and the rest are not, it looks kind of odd. So I think you're going to see more video events. And that was LinkedIn's original plan, was to go from audio events to video events. And they even had mock-ups and everything else. I got to beta test some of them. And they're not too far off from what we're looking at now if we all had video on. So I think that's going to become a big piece of that. So I'm not then using AI to respond even during this event.
So, Kevin, can I ask, do you think that they'll morph audio and video into one so that there's not two separate platforms like we have at the moment, but there'll just be one instead?
It's that way now.
Hmm.
If you think about it, it's that way now.
Yeah.
You know, very, very simple. You know, I turn on my camera now. We're a video event, right? If you all turn on your camera, you'd be a video event. If somebody comes in from a link that you give them, you pull them up on stage or on video, it's a video event. I think it's going to become the standard. I think people, because of that ability to know you're actually talking to somebody, because anybody can pick a picture, right? And anybody can use any kind of source from the other side. If you can't see them moving around, typing, doing all that stuff, you know, they'll be doing the same kind of thing that they do anytime. And that is relying on AI for their answers. Yeah. So I think that's a change that we'll see more of.
I agree with you, and I'm certainly keen to be doing that myself, but I do think then what that will do is mean that people who don't want to do audio events with their cameras on will move off the platform, go back to Clubhouse, for example, or go to other platforms where they'll do their audio-only events there rather than do them on LinkedIn. Now, that may not be a bad thing. There's more room for the rest of us in that case.
Well, and I think it's up to the host to establish what it is, right? Is it an audio only event or is it a video event? I think the mix doesn't work well. You know, having one on and nobody else, or having a couple on and not one. I don't think the mix works well. But if you establish it up front, we're going to be cameras on, then I think everybody comes in prepared for it. And there are some conversations that would be easier without a video. You know, I know that kind of sometimes mental health conversations, which are very big in the process of audio events, job seeking, a lot of times people don't really want to be on video during those. So I think some topics have a better feel and fit for audio, and some are going to be better, I think, for video in that sense. And it's up to the host to establish what that is coming in.
This is where you want emojis in as a guest on a show like this. You know, I've been searching for the emoji bar every time either of you say anything, and there's something I want to really press home the point on that I think you've really nailed it. I want to hit an emoji button, so I'm missing that from the audio event lineup, I must say, just quietly.
I believe you can add that. You can add emojis into this process. I did on the test that Restream did. They had emojis that you could pop up. Now I think it's only the people on stage who can elicit the emojis.
I don't mean to take over this event, Anzel, but Americo, where do you find that?
I don't know. I would have to go back and look and try to figure it out.
It's those in the listening lounge who can play around with the emojis and react to the speakers' messages.
But we can't.
We can't.
Well, that's a shame.
Restream has been quite open and very interactive and very engaged.
That's the key. If you really want it, talk to them. They'll probably make it happen.
Absolutely.
Very unlike LinkedIn. They want to be dominant, right? They want every of these events to be for them, from them, so they can ultimately maybe get you to pay in, and you can do it for free on all those services as well, those third-party services. But I think if you want it, ask them for it. They are very open to making things happen.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, maybe Americo, you can be our contact.
I would be more than happy to open up a ticket for emojis if one hasn't been established already, and at least provide an update as to where they are on that.
That'd be cool.
I know that having dropped into a Clubhouse event today, the emojis, the audio, the GIFs, the options were endless. I thought that was fascinating how far Clubhouse has come from what people were saying it was. Like, this is my first time visiting the platform. I had just set up an account, not during the holidays. But I was impressed, after hearing so much negative sentiment. It's like, oh, maybe they're listening to their audience, and they're listening to the membership, and they've retooled it. So, first impression, I wasn't. I gotta say, I was pretty happy with my experience with Clubhouse. Yeah, it is a small sample size, so don't hold me to that.
No, I think Clubhouse is a very functional platform. The question for me is, if everybody I interact with is here on LinkedIn, if I can do it here on LinkedIn, it probably suits me better than to try to get those people to leave LinkedIn and go to Clubhouse. And so I think that's why I don't find myself back on Clubhouse. When I was on there, I was one of the initial group that jumped in at the very beginning and watched it evolve. I actually liked it better when it launched than what it's become now, because it is really complicated to find rooms, whereas before it was much easier. And so some things I don't like about the new Clubhouse. I think sometimes simplicity is better. Like you're saying, endless emoji options. If you're scrolling for the right emoji in that process, right, it's like, where am I in the conversation? And so sometimes having 4 or 5 might be a better option than endless.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so what I would love to know is, to end off with, is what are you guys excited about? So I'm really excited about this new audio/video events of LinkedIn. But what are you guys excited about, or what are your predictions for 2025 that will happen here on LinkedIn or in business overall?
I'll start if I may, and I think we're going to see more video. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me on that one. We're going to see a lot more video in the interactive standalone feed, the TikTok style feed, and hopefully more video in there from people we actually want to see videos from. But I think we'll see a lot more video in general, and maybe even in other areas of our profiles. I'd like to see more people using the opportunity to use video as it stands already. But I don't think a lot of people are understanding the value of video as yet. So I think we'll see a lot more video next year. I think we'll see more, this year, goodness me, here we are, 3rd of January, and I'm still talking about last year. More AI. I think we'll see more AI here on LinkedIn this year. But I'm predicting that we will also see more contact via personal DMs with people. We'll see more engagement, more direct messaging, because visibility, I think, is going to get even lower. And consequently, we'll be able to really we'll have to think about new ways, new strategies, new ideas to get more visibility. And I think that's going to be one-on-one through direct messages. So I am a little excited about that one.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more video advertising, where it looks like an authentic member talking to you, but it's really a company selling product. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And the other thing, anytime LinkedIn has a trend, we had the selfie trend, right? We had the polls trend. We've had so many trends in the process. Everybody always says, well, at some point the algorithm's going to change and it's going to push video down. It's not the algorithm that changes. The algorithm actually doesn't change much. It is the people's perception of value. If my feed becomes all videos, I'm already finding I'm skipping 70% of the videos that come in my feed. A lot of people are experiencing that. There's too many of them. They're no longer exciting in some ways. And people have already seen, if you don't get in the immersive tab, they've already seen a drop even on videos on LinkedIn. So I think sometimes if it becomes too pop, right? Everybody's saying you got to do this. If they're saying you got to do it, you're probably late to the game. You're probably now on the downward side of it. So I think we're going to see less exposure, less reach for video, maybe more people doing it for a while. And then I think something else has got to come in and take it over. What that is, I don't know. But that's how things always trend on LinkedIn. They become really hot. Everybody responds to them. The algorithm measures our engagement and response. And when that engagement and response starts to die, then the reach dies, because that's what the algorithm does. And I think that's something we're going to see more of as more people do this. And so I think, that's going to be a change. What I do believe is going to happen is the segmentation of our feed, where we're going to have tabs. One would be video, one would be long form, one articles and newsletters, maybe even a custom tab is something I've always asked for. Let me tell you what I want in there, right? And the reason they will do it is because they can target advertising better. Instead of throwing everything into one single feed, I now know if you like video, I can put video ads, right? I know if you like long posts, I can put in long post ads. I can fit and feel and promote my own business as LinkedIn. And I think that's something that I see is going to happen, because it makes sense on their part. There's revenue there for them. And yet it will give us, I think, a cleaner feed, because right now they're shoving everything they can into one feed and it's taking over. Now, the other thing is, too, if you haven't done this, go into privacy and settings. There is 17, I believe was my last count, actual options in how you receive advertising. If you go in and turn all of those off, believe it or not, you'll go from having, 4 or 5 ads for every 10, you'll go down to having 1 for every 20 posts. So you can already get rid of a lot of that advertising. Just go into that privacy setting and do that. It makes a huge difference in the feed. And the other thing is, I think more people are going to start bookmarking the actual search filters. You can bookmark them. You can say, I want to see only posts from the last 24 hours from these 50 influencers, right? I make that one list. And then I've got another list where I've got 100 target companies or target people I want to know. And I can check that. I can check that bookmark once a day. It's the last 24 hours. It's the best stuff. And it gives you one stream, no advertising, no sponsors. And you can actually interact with each one without getting out of line. You just go down the stream. So you can actually react to them and comment on them and then go down to the next one. So I think more people are going to start using that technique. The beauty of it is, because it uses LinkedIn, it is not a deep link. It's not an issue. It doesn't throw off any of their automation process, and it works extremely well. So I think people are going to get a little more clever on how they start using the feed. You can try to train it, but it's almost untrainable at times. And this is a way just to find out exactly what you want to see. And I think more people are going to do that as well.
Excellent. How do I top that off? You nailed. Hey, listen, I totally agree. I think the sentiment is unanimous. Video is definitely here to stay. And in fact, just today, I doubled down in one of my posts was, that my brand voice is here to stay. So it's going to be more me and less keyboard warrior Americo showing up, because you can't really feel my tone and my sentiment when I'm passionate about something on the keyboard. It may not resonate with you. And I think it's time that for those of us who want to differentiate ourselves, to not only step into video, but find different ways to interact and engage with our communities. The whole video piece, I think it was Lynnaire who touched on it earlier, or it may have been Kevin. The one thing that makes me cringe just a little bit is, seeing the TikTok watermarks and the Instagram watermarks on a LinkedIn video. It's like, yeah, if I can see that somewhere else, then it's not for me, because my audience is a LinkedIn audience. It's a different group. It's a different audience. I have a presence in those platforms and next to no engagement. I'm just there for the sake of being there and pointing people back to LinkedIn, essentially, is what I'm doing. but it makes me cringe just a little bit when I see those videos. Hey,
I think it makes LinkedIn cringe too. They're trying to clean that up. They want to see things that are just created just for LinkedIn, and I don't blame them. Makes sense.
Yeah, then I just want to thank everyone for listening, and thank you, Americo, Lynnaire, and Kevin for joining. I'm very honored to have you guys here. It's my first live event with guests. So, thank you for being part of that.
Thank you for inviting us. It's been a great hour. I've learned a lot.
Always fun.
yes, thank you.
And that, the one thing about LinkedIn, you don't have to try everything. Just figure out what works for you and use it. And, that's the best thing. And that's what's nice about conversations like this. We all have difference of opinions and different things that we like to use. And everybody should take that, absorb that, and find out what works for them. It's like the real world, right? Not one solution doesn't fit all. Find the one that does for you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys, and have a good New Year.
Take care.
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.